Hi, it's Jeff.
And Denise from Mousesteps.com.
And this is episode number 273.
273.
Of Mousesteps Weekly.
Sponsored by MEI Travel and Mouse Fan Travel. Request a free quote from MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. They have been to Toy Story Land already as well, just as we have, and that's what we're going to be talking a lot about in this episode. There are special fall and holiday offers, and they can always look for the best deal for your trip.
Not to mention cruises and adventures by Disney.
And Disneyland.
Disneyland, Paris, Asia parks. They can really cover everything.
Well, Disneyland, we were just at a few days ago. We extended our trip and ended up at Toy Story Land as soon as we got back.
And it was the best extension ever, and we're going to talk
really
about that.
good.
But anyway, MEI Travel, Mouse Fan Travel, highly recommended. Let's get on with the show.
Well, we're at Disney's Hollywood Studios now. June 30th was when Toy Story Land opened, and we were going to be there for that day. And then it's like, let's extend Disneyland just by one more day.
Well, we had a 7 a.m. flight, which means we had to wake up at 3. That had a lot to do with the extension.
So it actually worked out really well. So we ended up going on July 1st instead. And June 30th ended up being like crazy. Like it was really busy with hours, long waits just to get into the land. And July 1st was nothing like that. It was really
delightful.
It was not definitely for the day after. You're looking at, an hour 15 wait for Slinky Dog Dash, which we're seeing here. So that was much better.
Well, the very first thing we did once we got into the land was head straight over to Slinky Dog Dash, because at that time we thought it was going to be crazy long to get in. Now it says 120 minutes, but I took that shot afterwards. I think it was even higher when we first approached it.
Well, it said like 2 hours 15 or 2 hours 20 or something. It ended up being 1 hour and 15 minutes. Which I thought was very reasonable. Although it is, I'm just going to say it's really hot in Toy Story Land. Especially right now during the heat of summer, there's almost nowhere to escape. Here, you're actually underneath a cover.
Yeah, once you get inside undercover, it's not bad at all. There's fans and everything. But if the queue is extended outside, it is absolutely brutal in these summer months. I mean, and we had an umbrella and we had drinks and everything, but still it was really, really hot.
In an hour, I went through two drinks. So it was really, I definitely recommend water, umbrella, but mostly I recommend getting fast passes or going, if you're doing standby early in the morning or in the afternoon. In December, it doesn't matter, but right now, especially in summer, yes.
I mean, we did pick the hottest time of the day. I think it was around 4 o'clock when we got in line in direct sun, so that had something to do with it.
Evening's very nice here, and we'll show some of that. We're looking at the ride video, which was really fun. And I just want to say, this is surprisingly fun for a coaster. So don't let
a family coaster.
For a family coaster. For any coaster,
right,
really.
Any
It was
coaster.
really, really fun.
And as you just saw, and I can tell you, I'm not a small person, plenty of room in the Slinky Dog. Lots of leg room, no issue at all. Unlike the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, which is actually very cramped and very tight for me, this was so much more comfortable.
And this is a more intense coaster to me than Seven Dwarfs.
Definitely.
Seven Dwarfs to me is like a dark ride with a coaster aspect, where this is just fun, but also you can hear, like when you're on it, you can hear guests being like, oh, because you don't realize how much it's going to.
They don't expect the airtime and the quick. I think there's 2 launches, which is a first, I think, for a Disney coaster to have 2 launches. And here comes the second launch right here.
But it's also very smooth, so it's not. I was saying about whipping you around. It's not like that.
Incredibly smooth.
But it still is. I don't even know what other word to use, but it's a little more intense than you would think.
Well, I think you're looking for airtime, the word airtime, when you kind of go off the seat, you into the air, and you can especially feel that airtime if you're sitting in the back row, which we did in the nighttime ride, and we'll show that later on in the segment.
And I was looking to see about how long it was, so I looked at our video, and it looks like it's about 1.5 minutes where you're actually riding it. I've seen 2 minutes mentioned, but that's probably when you stop for the audio animatronic.
Right.
That's Wheezy, and we'll see Wheezy in a minute. But about 1.5 minutes, and it feels to me longer. I guess Rock and Roller Coaster is about 1.5 minutes as well.
But when you're waiting this kind of time, I think you really get the bang for your buck with this long, fully enjoyable ride. And here's the end. As you mentioned, Wheezy serenades you as you come in to get off the Slinky Dog Dash.
I didn't hear anybody disappointed in their ride after going on it. I didn't hear anybody saying, oh, well, that's it.
No, none of
Everybody,
that. Absolutely.
you know, if you just stand there and listen to guests as they're getting off, they love this ride. So you
I love the ride.
I love the ride too, but you definitely have to check this one out when you go. If you like coasters at all, don't think it's a kiddie coaster. It isn't like that, but you know, kids up, I don't know what the height requirement is. I don't have that on me. But children, obviously, a lot can ride too.
And here is Mr. Prickle Pants. Let's not forget about him saying goodbye at the end of the attraction.
So definitely check that one out. But also Alien Swirling Saucers, which is very similar to Mater's Junkyard, Jamboree, and Disney California Adventure.
Right, and we had just ridden that maybe 2 or 3, I think actually only 2 days previous to this, so it was very fresh in our minds, and we'll talk about the actual ride experience when we get to it, but here is a look at the queue.
And on the Disney Parks blog, it said, inside a play set that Andy won at Pizza Planet, the aliens have powered up the flying saucers.
Right, not much of a story, really. The story is you're going to get in these cars and be whipped around and have fun.
And again, we've used the word whipped around already with Slinky Dog, and it's not...
It doesn't, yeah, that's a very bad choice. I apologize. You don't get whipped around that much. It is
sort
whipping
of,
you
I mean,
around.
it is, but it's, like, to me, it feels like a little toned-down version of Mater's Junkyard Jamboree.
Yeah, it feels gentler, and maybe because it's newer, it's not as bumpy as Mater for me.
Well, usually on Mater's Junkyard Jamboree, I like really have to hold on, where I didn't really feel like that with this. And there are 8 songs also that maybe they're familiar but different. So it's sort of like going on the Frozen attraction, where the songs are similar but not exact to what you will know.
And unlike Mater, this actually has a lighting package after dark, which we're not going to show because due to time constraints, but you do have lighting effects and things when it's fully dark out.
Well, Toy Story Land really is best at night as far as the lights and being able to walk around when it's not hot. So I definitely recommend, maybe checking it out a little bit during the day, but if you can go in the evening, to me, that's even better.
So here we are, we're on the ride, and when I try to record Mater, usually it's very hard to hold the camera steady and everything. Didn't have that problem here. Again, somehow it is smoother, I find.
I was taking some pictures. I could see Galaxy's Edge from here.
Yes,
even
that's true.
Everywhere in the land, and they may add some extra trees and such. You can see Galaxy's Edge from Slinky Dog, from the ground, from the Swirling Saucer. So that was very interesting for me. But it wasn't hard to take pictures or anything. It wasn't like I felt like I had to hold on too much. So it feels different to me than Mater's a little bit.
And this is one of the most important areas in the whole park. We're going to take a look at the restroom, the only air-conditioned area you can get into.
Well, I won't say that. Like Toy Story Midway Mania is air-conditioned.
Well, that has a long line, though. There's no line for the restroom.
Yes. So, if it's raining, if it's, really hot out, you can escape into the bathrooms.
I think that may be true.
So this is the Green Army. I think there's like 2 different Green Army. There's a Green Army Drum Corps and also a different Green Army group. So you can look for them and maybe have some fun play.
And here's another highlight, Woody's Lunchbox. We had purchased a variety of items to try. We'll talk about that in just a minute.
And this is the only restaurant in Toy Story Land. And we're going to take a little look at the theming. You can see the Baby Bell cheese. They're the ones who sponsor the restaurant.
And it's quite interesting. The chairs are cut Baby Bell cheese containers. And here you have some animal crackers, really nicely themed.
Well, some of the tables are as well. Not too many of them as far as the Baby Bell. There's a variety of different types of tables and chairs.
Well, speaking of tables and chairs, that's one of the biggest challenges of this area. Not enough of them. We ended up standing up. There's just so few places to go, and you don't find that out until after you've made your purchase. So we will learn our lesson. And as a matter of fact, I saw some people that got their food ended up walking over to the commissary, a nice indoor place. I may do that next time.
Maybe that is a good idea, actually, although I don't think the commissary would appreciate it. So
I guess it's done. No, it's a done thing.
There's a lot of standing tables here as well, and you're outside. I wish they had done sort of like the diner in Cars Land where it was indoors.
So let's talk about the food. You just saw that brisket sandwich, which was really excellent. And here is a sampling. There's some
tomato basil soup,
right,
vegetable macaroni salad, potato barrels, which is, it's tater tots, and then a chocolate hazelnut lunchbox tart. Overall, I really enjoyed all the food. The lunchbox tart, it was a little dry on the ends, and it mentions candied bacon. You can see there's like four pieces.
Could have used a little more bacon.
I don't need the bacon actually, so I'm not really worried about it, or the pearls on top.
But the brisket sandwich,
that
excellent.
was really
I would
good.
absolutely have that again. Now we're going to talk about Toy Story Mania. No longer Toy Story Midway Mania. It's been renamed just simply Toy Story Mania, and you can see there is a fully new queue area that you enter from Toy Story Land itself.
Pixar, and there I am. Pixar Place closed not too long ago, just a few days ago with the opening of this land. Although Pixar Place as a place, even though it doesn't say Pixar Place, was still open when we were there, just for people were even eating back there at times.
Right. I mean, that's another option. There are seats way at the back end
if it's still open. So we're going to talk about Toy Story Mania now. This attraction is 10 years old. I actually was there for a preview of it when it first opened. It was really nice because there was only a handful of guests actually getting on it. But it has changed some recently, obviously. When they added the third track, it had changed. And now that we have a new entrance, it's changed some again. So it's expanded. It is a 10-year-old attraction, but it is still one of the most popular at Walt Disney World. So it's nice to have any little additions you can add to it.
Well, it's still an awesome e-ticket attraction, just because it's been there 10 years. It's wonderful. I think people will still continue to love it, although the ride itself, I don't notice any changes on. Now, here is the new exit. We're not going to show the ride because it's, again, very much the same, but here is the new exit to the land.
Can I mention also it has air conditioning?
Yes.
It has a lot of air conditioning.
Delightful air conditioning.
I mean, we were in the Toy Story Land for like an hour and a half. We rode Slinky Dog. I'm like, I need to go to Starbucks now. So anyway, we're coming out of the exit, and you can see Toy Story Land at night. I mentioned it has air conditioning, which is really important. So get a Fastpass for it if you're going during the heat of the day.
But we're still in the official exit area of the attraction. So if you don't ride, you're not going to see all these things. And that's a giant straw that the lights are kind of strung upon.
It reminds me of Bugs Land, that straw.
Yeah.
We were just in Bugs Land, which is going to close this summer over at Disney California Adventure. I think at the end of the summer it's supposed to close.
And there is the Pixar ball, and it makes for a great photo op at the end of the night.
And here is the lighting on Slinky Dog Dash. We had ridden during the daytime, but we also rode at night. And it had said 220 minutes, but it was actually 55 minutes. It's sort of like, when we went to the Lamplight Lounge, it was like, oh, it's 40 minutes, but it was 1 minute, So just because it says 220 doesn't mean it is 220.
Right, and I find especially in the evening, at the end of the night, these line estimates are usually off even more.
Well, I mean, but during the day they were actually off quite a bit. It was at least half during our first ride as well. So they really, overinflated the times, which is good in a way. If there's any breakdowns, if there's any issues, I would rather get off the attraction earlier than I expect and not later.
Right, and one thing to consider at night, if you get in line right towards the very end of the night towards closing, you will not have to deal with Fastpass people, so the line will never move faster. So that's another good reason to get in a little bit later.
So now we're actually going to take a little look at the ride at night, and here we are. And there had been an issue with one of the trains, so we ended up being able to see the finale for the fireworks, which was really nice.
And you'll see that. And this time we got in the very last row of the Slinky Dog. So it's going to feel a little bit faster. That airtime we talked about will be a little bit more. But, I think every seat would be a lot of fun.
And you can see the Tower of Terror lit up at night as well. Just being able to see different views in the evening. Like during the day, you can see Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. You can see Tower of Terror. But at night, you see everything a little bit differently. Like you can see, again, the fireworks. You can see the Chinese theater.
And the track itself is lit, and it changes colors. I mean, really, the lighting package on this is fantastic.
It really is beautiful in the evening, and I highly recommend. I would come here. I don't know if I'd come here right at dark, but maybe right at dusk and, ride a few attractions at that time.
Well, just like Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, it's one of these things where you sort of need to ride it during the day to see all the details and at night to see the changes.
Yes. And this is just really a fun attraction, day or night. You can see, we can see the Alien Swirling Saucers from here as well. Some of the lighting up there.
So we're about to blast off and go over this big hill, and on the other side of the hill is where Galaxy's Edge is and where this darkness is. During the day, you can see all that construction. Can you imagine when it's opened and nicely lit, what a view that'll be?
You know what? I can't even imagine that now. It feels so close. Now that you can really see it from this land, to me, it's very interesting to see how close that land is as well.
So compared to the front row, did you find the back row to be a little wilder as well?
I didn't find it more wild. Like it wasn't, I just thought either end was really a very good ride, more intense ride than I expected.
So now we have to go back and ride every other row.
No, I don't need it. No, I'm not saying I wouldn't ride every other row. It's just, over time. And we see Wheezy here who's singing You've Got a Friend in Me again. And that's really the one thing about that. It would be nice if everybody could see Wheezy. Like not everybody can see. If you're not riding the coaster, you're not going to see Wheezy. So it would have been nice if Wheezy got to be out a little more outside.
Well, it's a good reason to get on that thing and ride it, isn't it?
The good reason to get on it is because it's a lot of fun. That would be the main reason. And here you can see the lights again of the coaster and in the background of Alien Swirling Saucers.
So nighttime, daytime, what do you prefer?
Well, not the hot. I think right around dusk as the lights are going down is really nice. And also, we had friends who were dining over at the Woody's Lunchbox at like 10 p.m.
Yes, 10 p.m., plenty of seats.
There were plenty of seats at that time.
That's right, hold off your dinner till 10 o'clock.
Maybe even 9 o'clock or something, and then you can get a seat. Because I think that's really important is to be able to sit down, especially when it's been hot out, to be able to have a comfortable seat.
So here's just a little stroll through Toy Story Land after dark, and you can see much less crowded.
Yes, and you can see the restrooms on the right-hand side with the Scrabble letters. And it was pretty quiet, a lot of tripods. I definitely want to bring my tripod at some time. And you can see the Tinker Toys. And you really at night you can see a lot more, not because it's, in a way, because it's dark, you're not seeing every detail, but there's fewer guests, so you can kind of see a lot more around you.
Yeah, to be honest, during the day it was pretty packed. Even on this day, which wasn't that crazy, it was still pretty packed with people, so it's hard to take pictures of all the various displays.
Well, I hadn't really noticed the Pixar ball till the evening because of how busy it was. But yeah, it was, at night, it's just nice to be able to kind of have some breathing room and be able to kind of look around. But you can see all the lighting is fantastic here.
And they do have a few little kiosks for merchandise, but the main shopping area is actually outside the land.
Right. Well, where Villains in Vogue is where the main...
Sweet Spells.
And Sweet Spells. Both of those are the long gift shop. But I don't know why they didn't have one here. I don't know why they didn't put in the Owl's Toy Barn. I think they were supposed to have.
So my final thoughts on Toy Story Land: excellent attractions. I would say Slinky Dog Dash, a big A+ for me. And the big challenges is not really enough shade in the land, and they could use more seating for the lunchbox.
I would go a little further than that. I wish they had patterned it a little more like Radiator Springs, where you have an indoor counter service location, you have several gift shops. So if it rains, like last night we had a big thunderstorm, so I don't know what you would really do in that. Or, if it's hot, you have a place you can go inside, you can sit down, you can shop. And I think that would have been very important for Toy Story Land. So we'll see what happens in the future. Slinky Dog Dash is a ton of fun. Alien Swirling Saucer is fun as well. I wouldn't wait as long for Alien Swirling Saucer as I would for Slinky Dog Dash, but they're really two really terrific attractions for the park.
And I do agree with what you said about the Cars Land model. Perhaps they didn't have enough room, I don't know. But this land would really work well in a place like California, where it's less likely to rain and lightning and thunder, and you wouldn't have the tremendous heat humidity issues that you have here.
Right. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I think they will address it at some point because that has been the biggest point of concern. But again, I do recommend going.
Oh.
Just go at off times, and also for Woody's Lunchbox at an off time. It'll be a more comfortable experience.
Yeah, I can't wait to go back. I can't wait to ride Slinky Dog Dash again, and especially want to try out some of the other food items, even if we have to bring it elsewhere to enjoy.
Yes.
And speaking of enjoying other food items, we were at BeaverTails?
Well, we were invited to BeaverTails to talk about this location, which is over at the Orlando Vinland Premium Outlets, I think you would say it. Usually just I say Orlando Premium Outlets. This is near the parking garage. BeaverTails used to be at Epcot, and it's been a lot of years since that has happened, but I got to make my own, and I never did get to do that at Epcot. So.
Look at you in action. You are all set. You could be hired for Epcot now.
So BeaverTails, 40 years old. It started in 1978. The closest one we've had until now has been Dollywood, except for when it was at Epcot many years ago. So they have come to IAAPA, which is an industry trade show every year. But now we actually have our own. And so this is very exciting for me to be able to, and especially to be able to make one, even though I was not good at it.
Oh, I would disagree. I
was
tried
terrible.
yours. It was excellent. Look at those bananas. This was absolutely fantastic. Everything we had was fantastic.
Well, the BeaverTails are made with whole wheat, and then they're hand stretched, which was not easy. And then they have the toppings on them. And these aren't like towards the end of the run at Epcot, they were like par baked is how you would say it, but they aren't here. Also, they have poutine, which is something that I have never had before at a BeaverTails location. So that was really fun to see as well. And they have different drinks and different other items. So it isn't just BeaverTails, the pastry, but they have other items. No beaver dogs yet. They're hoping to be able to eventually do that, but they haven't been able to start that here yet.
So why don't you give the most important advice on all of this, the parking situation?
There is more paid parking over here at the outlets than ever before. So I personally recommend going first thing in the morning when it opens. Go to the Character Warehouse, which is the Disney outlet. It's actually Disney merchandise from the parks. And then head over to BeaverTails and either have a breakfast of one of those wonderful pastries, or have a little something for lunch if you're there a little longer.
And also, Florida residents can
Get
valet for free from 10 to 11 every day.
Well, but get there 10ish to me if that is the time the mall opens, because during holidays it can be a little bit earlier. Go at that time. Usually you can park pretty easily. Later in the day it can be almost impossible, or you pay, and we don't like to pay $10 for parking. I think it's just a few dollars if you park in some locations, but still free is better.
Free is always better.
You can use it towards that beaver tail.
So as we are recording this show, yesterday was the 4th of July, and we celebrated as we celebrate most big holidays over at Disney's Fort Wilderness.
And we're setting it up here. There was a beach bash, but first we're going to go to the golf cart parade. We haven't always done the 4th of July ones, but traditionally for like 8 or 9 years we've been to the Halloween and Christmas ones, and I don't even know if we realized there was a 4th of July one until a few years ago.
Yeah, I think this is our 4th in a row of these 4th of July golf cart parades, and really they are tremendously attended. There's so many campers that are in it, but this was just amazing. 5 characters. I've never seen a golf cart parade with so many characters that kick it off. You have Mickey, Minnie, Chip and Dale, Goofy, and in one of the longest vehicles I've ever seen.
Well, there was at least 100 probably golf carts, but not only that, we're going to be seeing something special that I've never seen in a golf cart parade as well.
Yeah, they kept upping their game. Look at this. You even have a guy, the lasso spinning. Unbelievable.
There was, this was really fun. I don't know that there was any golf carts that was like really stood out. It wasn't like a big Millennium Falcon this year, but they all look so nice and just so patriotic.
Well, that Muppets, Great Moments in History Muppet golf cart last year was phenomenal.
Right, and I think there was 2 or 3 actually last year that were Muppets related, and now there is I think the
Sam Eagle
this
was also
year was one.
in last year. But some excellent carts. It's just such a patriotic and fun time. Everybody's having a good time, and it really draws a good crowd.
Right, and I mean, there's a lot of music coming from the carts. It just, everybody is in such a good mood, and I can't think of a better way to spend the 4th of July, especially in the afternoon.
And here is Uncle Sam himself on a golf cart.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't even notice that for some reason. I was probably uploading something, and there is Sam Eagle.
A salute to all nations, but mostly America.
Yes, and on the back it's more of a Toy Story theme, so it's sort of a double themed cart.
And there's a lot of candy being thrown out, I should mention. All of these
and
golf
beads.
cart parades, yes, beads and candy. It's like being at the Mardi Gras.
And not as much as during Halloween, there was just like candy everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
So,
True.
And actually somebody was, there's like Duffy is about to go off on a firework there.
As you said, this cannot end well with all these
those poor
characters hanging
characters.
on to the fireworks. But look at this. Unbelievable. The Main Street Philharmonic, right? Is it called the Main Street
The
Philharmonic?
Main Street Philharmonic was coming
Where
down.
did they come from? Out of nowhere. And they're playing music. They were just playing It's a Small World. And then they go into the Mickey Mouse March.
I thought
Unbelievable.
honestly, that was amazing. You
Right
know,
in the middle, too. Just
yes.
right in the
And
middle
I
of
thought,
it.
I thought it was over when they showed up, and then it was like, okay, well, it's only half the parade. But how do you?
I know how you top it. Next
How?
year, the brand new Maleficent Dragon,
Yes.
Breathing Fire, can debut in the Halloween parade. Here's that challenge. Here we go. Some more of the very patriotic golf carts.
But as we're looking at the golf carts, and everybody just does such a fantastic job of putting together the carts and coming out and driving in the parade and everything. I mean, it's a lot of work. Some of these are really a lot of work.
Look at how creative. You have a fire department, and you also, I think it's followed by a police, a
Right.
SWAT team cart, and those are very nicely done.
I thought so too. It reminded me of when they have somebody does a Mater truck
And
Mater
Mater
cart
was
every
in
year.
he was actually in the July 4th golf cart parade last year. 'Cause
Right,
I
and
took a look at that.
Well, he has been in a number of them, so it reminded me more of that. And there's-
Uncle Sam riding the American Eagle.
I don't.
I think that's what's happening. Who could have thought? You never know what you're going to
It's really,
see.
you know what? It's really fun,
And now we have a
unicycle.
unicyclist. You have something for everybody. A unicyclist throwing out candy.
right. I didn't.
Out of nowhere, by the way.
And I got beads, but I gave those away. And but you see, then at the end, you have the cast members. There was like 7 or so cast member carts, including just from a variety of different areas of Fort Wilderness.
Yeah, it just keeps getting bigger and better every year. So as we said before, I can only imagine what we're going to have in store for the next one, which will be the Halloween Golf Cart Parade. We'll be there.
It will be interesting to see what they do. I was really surprised to see 5 characters. Chip and Dale, though, later when they were doing meets, they didn't have any costumes. So I thought that was very interesting that they no longer had their patriotic outfit on anymore.
Maybe they were hot. It was a
That's
hot
possible.
time.
It wasn't not as bad as a couple days ago.
I believe that was maintenance. That was
It was maintenance at all the resorts always really upped the game. They know how to do like everything.
Very
So,
creative.
yes,
they are. And of course, it ends with a fire truck. Very traditional, just like any 4th of July parade you'd see around America.
I was going to say maintenance and engineering. Those are the ones who often really just come across with the really fantastic carts.
And just a quick look, of course, they had a big party. They had all sorts of various things set up down at the other end of Fort Wilderness. And as you mentioned, here is Chip and Dale without their patriotic uniforms on.
They were done with it.
They're ready to call it a day.
So
Look at the park. I've never seen so many golf carts either. Parkway over there by the, what do you call it? The settlement.
Well, it's over in the settlement, but they're usually more towards the water. And in this case, they weren't.
So that was just an amazing time. Happy 4th of July, everybody. Here's a few pictures from the old America on Parade that I took many, many years ago in 1976. What a wonderful parade that was. Anyway, hopefully everybody had a safe and happy 4th of July. And believe it or not, that is another show.
That's another show. Thanks to our sponsors, MEI Travel and Mouse Fan Travel. Check them out for any Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Adventures by Disney, Disney Cruise Line, any travel. Not just Disney, but they do just about anything that you need.
And they can get you to that new Toy Story Land place too, I'm sure.
Well, they can, help you learn all about it and also just to book your vacation.
And next week, we're going to be talking about Pixar Pier. We were just recently out at Disneyland, Disney California Adventure.
A few days ago.
And Pixar Pier also has a new rethemed roller coaster, which is very interesting. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the Lamplight Lounge, which was amazing.
I really like the Lamplight Lounge a lot.
And of course, we'll sprinkle in some things that we do here in around Orlando, Walt Disney World, that kind of thing too.
It was nice to have this right after the 4th of July, so not like a week later, so we could discuss the golf cart parade like right away. And that is such a good time. So if you ever get out to Fort Wilderness, if you're ever in town 4th of July, Halloween,
Christmas
Eve. I think
Eve.
it's Christmas Eve. The golf cart parades there are just so much fun, and the campsite guests put a lot of effort into them, and I think the more guests who can watch them, the better.
Well, I just created a playlist of all our videos that we've done. Can you believe that this will be our 10th year? 10 years in a row covering the Halloween golf cart parade.
I can't,
Unbelievable.
I can't believe that. I mean, it's a lot, and it isn't really that different, I don't think, over the years. Like, for me, yesterday was really different in that, again, you've got the band, you've got, the 5 characters.
Remember the Up House?
Yes, the Up House, and I wanted that Up House.
And the Alice? Remember the Alice
in
table?
Wonderland table. The Halloween is the one where guests tend to go out the most, as far as where they may spend several months actually creating golf carts. And, every year is different. So sometimes you'll have a bunch that are just so over the top. And then sometimes you won't have any really over the top, but all excellent. I just love the golf cart parades because you never know what creativity you're going to see.
So anyway, thanks again for listening. Have a great week, and we'll see you all next week.
Have a great week.